Hello and welcome to the Education USA Health Sciences Showcase. My name is Jenika Heim and I'm the Education USA Advisor in Canada. Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network of over 400 international student advising centers in more than 170 countries. The network promotes U.S. higher education to students around the world by offering accurate, comprehensive, and current information about opportunities to study at accredited post-secondary institutions in the United States. If you'd like to learn more about the network, visit educationusa.state.gov. And for those of you tuning in from outside of Canada, that's also where you can find the contact information for your local Education USA advisor. Education USA in Canada offers free one-on-one advising and resources. I have a lot of virtual resources, including boot camps for things like the SAT and the Common App, a lot of updates on social media. So I always love to encourage you to follow on Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, every Tuesday, I do an admissions tip at 4 p.m. We also spotlight a lot of different students and universities and any upcoming events. So if you're an Instagram user, definitely follow us. We also, of course, have Facebook and Twitter. You can check out webinars and showcases we have monthly. So, hopefully you'll enjoy today and want to see another showcase in the future. And you can always email or check out the website. So the email is ottawa@educationusa.org. And you can sign up for a one-on-one advising session with me or just ask questions following up from today's session. Today, I'm going to very briefly talk about health sciences and give an overview. It's just going to help you with a little bit of the vocabulary and the pathways. And then our universities are really going to go more in depth about their schools and their programs and what they have to offer. I very intentionally invited a diverse group of institutions here. You'll see we have large public institutions with a lot of research and national public institutions. We have national private institutions. We have a small liberal arts college. We have tech university, as well as some schools that really just specialize in health sciences. So you're going to get a sense of all the different ways that you could potentially study health sciences in the US at a variety of different kinds of universities. And today, the universities are mostly going to be four-year universities, although I believe a couple of them do have some two-year programs available, but they'll let you know that as they speak through their programs. So let's first consider a definition of health sciences as it relates to studies. So the definition is applied science which deals with animal and human health in two parts: the study, research, and knowledge of health, and the application of the knowledge to improve health, cure diseases, and understand how humans and animals function. So I really like to think of those two things in those two categories being, when you study or research or gain knowledge, that's going to be a degree that's more related to research or theory or creating building blocks in order to either go into a career in research, a career related to health sciences, or potentially make a building block to go into later on a professional degree. And then that second category, application of knowledge, is oftentimes going to be in an actual professional degree where you would be directly improving health. So those are the two kind of categories of degrees, or just kind of the basic ways we're going to sort them as we look through these next slides. So I'm going to talk about each kind of entry point for health sciences. The first one is if you're looking for a two-year degree, you can actually, after 2 years, have a technical degree in the health sciences. Usually that's going to be something like a technician or potentially a registered nurse. So there's opportunities to work in a hospital directly with patients after a 2-year degree. It's going to be a very specialized field typically. But you can also go to a community college with intention to transfer. So that's what we're calling, so that first was like, you could have a profession in 2 years, or you could create those building blocks and transfer. So you could do 2 years in general sciences, or maybe even a little bit of general pre-health, and get an associate's degree to transfer. And after 2 years, transfer into a university to continue your studies to receive a bachelor's degree. So at the bachelor's level, again, you might have some professional opportunities in health sciences, as well as some more pathways that you can explore. So some examples, and these are just like, I'm giving out a few examples. This is by no means exhaustive. There's way more majors than what I'll bring up. And like I said, our professionals here today, our experts, are going to really show you the wide variety of opportunities available. So some examples of professional degrees you can work towards with a bachelor's are something like a registered nurse, an athletic trainer, a registered kinesiologist. Something that each of these things are going to have in common is that usually you also need to take another exam. Like for a nurse, it's the NCLEX exam in order to pass that exam and actually be able to practice in your profession. And you usually have to register for a organization in your province that governs that local field. So like a registered kinesiologist, you could have a bachelor's degree in that field, but that doesn't mean you're automatically going to be a registered kinesiologist unless you register, right? So oftentimes those bachelor's degrees are going to put you on track to take that test or do that registration so that you can be a professional in that field. Looking at more pathway sorts of health sciences, a lot of different options for a bachelor's degree. Usually, so in the US, you do need a 4-year bachelor's degree before you can do medicine, veterinary, dental, pharmacy, any of these health fields where it's a graduate profession. You need a graduate professional degree. And so you would need some sort of pre-health advising and pre-health degree in order to be able to apply to one of those programs. For most universities in the United States, you simply need a certain number of units and certain sciences rather than very specific majors. So it allows you to take whatever you're interested in. Most students are going to choose something in the sciences, and these are just some examples. Something like biology, biochemistry, neuroscience, kinesiology. If you want to be a veterinarian, animal science makes a lot of sense, right? So these are some of the options that students sometimes choose. However, you could be a sociology major and still apply to a medical program as long as you take all the appropriate science prereqs. So then if after a bachelor's degree, if your goal is to get a graduate degree, a professional degree, and be able to practice something like medicine, osteopathy, be a dentist, a pharmacist, or even a physical therapist, a speech pathologist, a veterinarian, right? So all of these health professions have their own programs, have their own entry requirements, have their own governing bodies. Oftentimes they even have their own admissions tests. So for example, to be a medical doctor, you must take, or to go to school to be a medical doctor, you must take the MCAT to get in, right? If you want to be a dentist, you have to take the DOT. It's a specific test just for that. There's also a specific test for pharmacy, the PCAT. So there's different tests for different health sciences. There's even, I left out optometry here, but optometry is another one that a lot of Canadians go to the States for, and they also have their own entry exam just to be considered. So that's something that's really important as you prepare for, if you're looking to go towards a graduate degree. When you're looking at that pre-health pathway, you want to get the advising, the pre-health advising to support you to know, what tests should I take? When should I take them? Is there support to take those tests? What else will I need to be successful in this process? Now, at the graduate level, you could also choose to do more of the research pathway, right? You could you could go for a Master's of Science, you could go for a PhD, and you could do that in health-related fields. Some examples would be something like bioethics or healthcare management or pharmaceutical sciences, right? So you could be a pharmacist, such as this Canadian here, pictured here. So Karen is pursuing a PharmD, which would be a professional in the field who would be practicing pharmacy, or you could do a pharmaceutical sciences PhD, which would be more the researcher who is creating the pharmaceuticals on the front end, right? So there's options, there's like so many options. Hopefully this was a very helpful, brief overview of what those options are. And I look forward to the questions that you're going to have. Including, oh, Samantha has a good one. Does physiotherapy have an extra exam? You know, I'm gonna ask I don't know that one off the top of my head. So we're going to launch that to our experts who have physiotherapy at their school, and we can find out what the entry requirements are for that specific discipline. And yes, a recording will absolutely be distributed to everybody who signed up today. So I made it through my slides pretty quickly. A couple of reminders. You can find out more about Education USA at my website, educationusa.ca. You can always email your questions, auto@educationusa.org. And of course, check us out on all of the social media channels. And I think I'll just go ahead and throw this link up as well. If you would like an advising session and you haven't signed up for one before, go ahead and start with a pre-advising survey. Now, if you have worked with me before, you don't need to fill this out again. You can just email me because we've already been in touch, and we can set up a advising session that way. All right, looks like there's something in the chat. What's the best approach to start my search for a research degree in health sciences? Sometimes I feel like I don't know where to start. Natalia, coming here is a great first step because there are a lot of options. So I would say taking advantage of these sorts of opportunities just to learn about, like today, like I said, we have a lot of different kinds of schools here so that you can start to maybe think of, oh, is a smaller liberal arts college a good fit for me? Or am I, more interested in a larger research institution or something more focused on health sciences? So hopefully today will help you a little bit on that search process. But you can always sign up and have an advising session with me, or if you're not in Canada, your local advisor, and they can really help you based on your academic profile and your needs, determine which schools might be a good fit for you. I'm going to go ahead and invite on our first university to talk to you today. Hi, Ford.
Hi, Jenika. Hi, everybody.
All right, I'll go ahead and pass things off to you and to Johns Hopkins.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Ford Torney. I am one of the Assistant Directors of Admissions here at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. Hoping to share a bit with you all about Hopkins in general, but really kind of focusing again on the health sciences and some opportunities and options we have for students. So please feel free to ask questions, and I'll try to get to them either during the presentation or after. But a bit about just kind of where we are. So Johns Hopkins University is located on the East Coast of the United States. We are located in Baltimore, Maryland. It's about an hour north of our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. We're about 3 hours south of another major city on the East Coast, New York City. We're about 2.5 hour flight from Toronto, about a 5.5 hour flight from Vancouver, about an hour and a half away from Montreal. So pretty accessible. We do have a major international airport about 30 minutes away from our campus, about 15 minutes outside the city, which does provide a lot of direct flights. So if you're interested in coming to campus, there are definitely opportunities to do so. Hopkins was founded as the nation's first research university. And we do have a lot of many campuses that you may or may not be familiar with. Our medical school, Our hospital or school of public health have all been in the news in the United States recently due to COVID. But I represent our undergraduate campus, Homewood, and there are a lot of opportunities to pursue health sciences on campus as an undergraduate student pursuing your bachelor's degree. Hopkins, throughout our history, has constantly been a leader in innovation and research, particularly when it comes to the health sciences. We helped design rubber gloves, breast cancer surgeries. We helped develop one of the first effective sickle cell anemia treatments, also overturned a U.S. ban on the donation of HIV-positive organs. And most recently, as I mentioned before, we have been a leader in tracking COVID-19 exposure and cases globally. And those opportunities do continue for undergraduate students. So our Homewood campus, as I mentioned before, is the home to our 5,400 undergraduate students who are pursuing their bachelor's degrees. Those students live on campus their first 2 years, and then they move off campus during their second 2 years. That being said, junior and senior year, students are living within a 3-block radius of campus, so they're not far. They're still very much a part of the Hopkins and the Homewood community. And that's really where students began to develop and pursue their interests academically as well as socially. Academically, we kind of have two cornerstones of our identity here. We are both a liberal arts school and a research school, and both of those provide really unique opportunities for students interested in studying the health sciences. From a liberal arts perspective, we have, this is actually slightly outdated, we have 54 majors and 48 minors, so we've added 2 of each that students can pursue. And with our liberal arts curriculum, what that means that we have a very flexible academic pathway. So students are really easily able to pursue different classes, different courses in different subject areas. So if you do have an interest in health sciences, you can easily pursue a major in biomedical engineering, biology, chemistry, public health studies are just some of our more popular ones. We have many. It can add on other majors or minors to that. Over 87% of our students have more than one major or a major and minor combination. So you're able to combine lots of different fields of study very easily. But you're also gaining valuable insight from other non-science courses if you're pursuing those. So you can take what you've learned in your history courses or your writing courses or your engineering or math courses and apply those to your courses in the sciences. We just believe that helps prepare students for success really well by the time they graduate. And I can talk about what that looks like in a moment as well. In terms of kind of the degree offerings, as Jenika mentioned before, there are professional and pathways. We offer pathways for students. So if you're interested in professional pathways like being like medicine, health, veterinary science, stuff like that, as opposed to majors in veterinary science or kinesiology, we offer pathways instead. And we'll talk about those in a moment as well. But we are a research school. That is the other kind of part of our academic foundation. We receive more money for research every year in the United States, about $2.5 billion. What that means for students is that there are over 1,300 active research sites or projects going on each year. Over 80% of our students do research by the time they graduate, whether that's doing research in our wet labs, doing research at the Hopkins Hospital or medical school. There are really unique opportunities to do hands-on work here as a student that allows you to be successful by the time you graduate. So you can do hands-on work, things like research or internships in the health sciences as an undergraduate. You don't have to have previous experience. You can do so without having any experience, including as a freshman. You can start those processes right away. There's no restriction based on your major or what year you are. There is a lot of flexibility to pursue those hands-on opportunities and offerings. I kind of alluded to this a moment ago. I want to highlight it briefly. The Hopkins network is comprised of many different campuses, both in the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore areas, as well as 2 international campuses. Our undergraduate students have access to those. So our undergraduates can do research or internships at our hospital, at our School of Medicine, at our School of Public Health. Many of our faculty teach across different campuses. Our faculty are also Nobel Prize winners. They're members of the National Academy of Medicine here in the United States. Our graduate schools for medicine and health sciences are constantly ranked in the top 5 here in the United States. And Baltimore is also a really great opportunity and part of the Hopkins network for health sciences. Baltimore is nationally recognized for healthcare employees, for biotechnology ventures. The University of Maryland's Trauma Center, which is in the city of Baltimore, is one of the top trauma centers in the country. And students have opportunities to pursue internships or shadowing experiences there, which are really unique. Again, these are really going to help you take what you've learned in a classroom setting and apply that in a really hands-on way. And that's really important for all disciplines, but especially so when it comes to the sciences and the health sciences. As I mentioned before, we offer pathways. We kind of funnel them all under pre-professional advising. The ones you're probably most interested in are going to fall under pre-health. And we have a few different ones. We have pre-med, which is our most popular. We also offer pre-vet, so veterinary science, pre-dental for students who are interested in pursuing dentistry, and then a more general pre-health pathway as well. These offer a lot of really unique resources. They're really flexible, so you can major in whatever you want to and still pursue any number of these. Commonly, students who are pursuing one of our pre-health pathways will major in a health science, but that isn't required. I worked with a student, Pepe, who graduated 2 years ago. He majored in writing seminars, which is our creative writing program. He minored in theater and business, but he was a pre-med student in the pre-med pathway. He graduated a semester early. He got into Columbia Medical School early, and he's been doing quite successfully. That is just one example of kind of the flexibility and the benefits of the pre-health advising and our more structured, or I guess less structured course opportunities for students. Pre-health advising at Hopkins offers a number of different resources. We offer MCAT prep, so MCAT, the exam you need to take to go to medical school that we mentioned before. We offer prep for that. We also offer advice for course selection to help you be a competitive and qualified applicant to pursue graduate studies, as well as tutoring, internship, and shadowing opportunities. I've kind of mentioned this before, but a number of those in and around the Baltimore area. We also offer application guidance. So if you are pursuing a graduate school in the health sciences or similar, or even not in the health sciences, maybe you want to get a master's in business before you pursue a field in that, we're going to offer application guidance for those schools and those pathways. But we also offer kind of general career guidance if you're going to finish your bachelor's degree and go do something in the health sciences. With that, we're going to offer guidance to that as well. I do want to add a caveat. We have here some medical school admissions. As some of you may or may not be aware, it can be more challenging for international citizens to gain admission to medical schools here in the United States. That being said, we are still going to work with all of our students, regardless of their citizenship status, to be able to pursue those opportunities if that is what they want to pursue. So just always like to add that caveat, but we're still going to work with students regardless of their interests to make sure they're able to pursue the ones that make sense for you. And then briefly, in the last couple minutes I have left, I don't know why this is all blue. I apologize for that. We also really want to emphasize just the student life on campus. We have over 400 student-run clubs and organizations. Yes, of course, we offer pre-health type organizations like JUMP, which is Johns Hopkins Underrepresented Minorities in Medical Professions. We also offer international students organizations. We offer a fire juggling club. We offer 22 varsity sports teams, club and intramural sports. Lacrosse is our big sport here on campus. Lots of ways to get involved and really have a well-rounded kind of social life here on campus. As well as, I'm sorry, again, I don't know why these are all blue. Oh, there it is. It's my fault. We also, I want to re-highlight Baltimore and the opportunities there are here in the city. Baltimore is a great city to be for your college/university experience. We are really accessible. We're a mid-sized city, so we're actually pretty easy to navigate. We're really affordable. There's a really low cost of living. We're very active. There are 180,000 other college-age students, so 18 to 24, in the city of Baltimore, which always means there are things going on, always ways to excuse me, always ways to get involved and have those different types of opportunities, both on and off campus. And I mentioned this before, but our Career Center, our Life Design Lab, as we call it, does help students prepare for success. About 97% of our students within 6 months after graduation are employed full-time in a graduate or professional school, or doing a very structured program. They're starting their own business, they're in a volunteer program, they're doing something very structured. Only 3% are still actively searching for that next step. And those I think are really great numbers that just point to how our philosophy and academic and social kind of guides really help students for success. Last thing before we dive into some Q&A and the time we have left, we have 3 different ways to apply as a first-year student. Our early decision options are binding, which means if you apply early decision and are admitted, you commit to attending Hopkins. We also offer regular decision that is non-binding. So if you apply and are admitted, you do not have to attend Hopkins. You have about 6 weeks to decide. I can drop a link in the chat later for more information about the application deadlines. I know a common question is financial aid and scholarships. So we do offer merit-based scholarships. Everybody who applies to Hopkins is considered for those automatically. Those are harder to come by. We don't offer a lot of merit aid because the bulk of our aid money is going to need-based aid. We meet the full demonstrated need for every admitted student. So the difference in what you can pay each year and what it takes to go to Hopkins, we cover that. We cover that without loans. Our goal is to have students graduate debt-free. For international citizens, we are need aware, which just means that if you do apply for aid, it will play a role in the admissions process. But if you are admitted, you're going to get that full aid package that's been determined. And I always want to highlight, if you think you might need aid at any point during your 4 years, please apply for aid when you're applying as a first-year student. It can be almost impossible to apply for aid after that. But that is all I have in terms of my presentation. I think we have some Q&A in here. So let me see. Yes, a question from Sarvin. Is it possible to have a major related to health science and have a minor in humanities and still apply for health sciences? At Hopkins, absolutely. You can major in things like creative writing and romance, those are related. Creative writing and mechanical engineering, biomedical engineering, and romance languages. There are no restrictions. Your majors and your minors don't have to be related, and you can still pursue the health sciences and do our programs. Do our undergraduate students get an advantage or disadvantage in applying to the JHU Medical School? Great question. It's actually neither. Our medical school doesn't give an advantage or disadvantage to students who are applying to enter it from the Hopkins undergraduate programs. They don't give a benefit because they receive a number of applications and the spots are pretty slim. They don't want to give students an advantage in that process just because they went to Hopkins. But there's also no disadvantage. They're not intentionally denying students the opportunity. About 80% of our students in general who apply to medical school from undergrad are admitted in that first year. Again, that can be harder for international students, but we'll still work with you to make sure that's possible. Varia asks, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Does early acceptance give you a lower acceptance rate related to international students? So early decision 1 and 2 do tend to have higher admit rates. So we admit a higher percentage of the applicant pool. This is usually for 2 reasons. One, all the spots in the class are open and the applicant pool is much smaller. The second one is that we do tend to see some of our most competitive applicants apply during the early decision rounds. It isn't easier on its own. We're not looking for different things. But if we are your top choice, you've done your homework, you've talked to your counselors, your parents or guardians, the financial aid piece, something you've considered and makes sense for you, we do encourage students to consider early decision because it can be a benefit in that process, again, if it makes sense for you. I believe that's all the presentation time I have left. I'm going to stick around, though, in the chat and Q&A and try to answer some more questions. But thank you all so much for this opportunity, and I'm going to hand it back off to Jenika.
Thank you so much, Ford. As you can see, that time can fly by super quickly. But if you'd like to learn more about Hopkins, you can click on that link. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of different chat features here. So you can go in the private chat feature, and if your question still didn't get answered, you can send a private message to Johns Hopkins University, and Ford will answer you. Or if you've already put something in Q&A, he can answer it there as well. So keep asking your questions. We'll do our best to make sure they are all answered. And I'm now going to hand things over to Bill at University of the Sciences in Philadelphia.
Thank you so much, Jenika. It's a pleasure to be here. Greetings from University of the Sciences. We're just up the road from Baltimore, so you just heard from our neighbor down slightly to the south. So my name is Bill Keys, and I come from a slightly different background. I run the International Student Services Office at University of the Sciences, so I welcome you to ask questions in the chat. There may be some specific admissions questions that I need to refer you to our website on, but I'll see how I do. So let's get started. University of the Sciences is the oldest pharmacy school in the Northern Hemisphere. In fact, we just, in the past few months, celebrated our bicentennial, so 200 years of existence. And our hashtag here is proven everywhere. So our alumni and students, they make significant contributions to science, and career preparedness is a huge part of our work. In fact, over the past 2 centuries, 6 of our pharmacy grads have gone on to found what are now, global pharmaceutical companies. So we're very proud of where our students go. We're also top 10 in the USA for return on investment, and that's specifically salary within 40 years of graduation. Health sciences and professions is really, it's what we do. And there are some very exciting growth opportunities for youth sciences on the horizon over the next couple of years. So we are uniquely focused on the sciences, and over the past couple of 100 years, we've developed from what started off as a pharmacy college into a university that is focused on delivering programs more broadly in health sciences and professions. And we also boast cutting-edge research facilities, which include an industrial pharmacy laboratory. We have our West Center for Computational Design and Drug Discovery on campus, as well as physical therapy research facilities. And that's just to name a few. As you can see here, we pride ourselves and we focus on experience-based collaborative studies. And there are lots of opportunities for students to get engaged in research during their programs, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. Our faculty, especially in the professional programs, our pharmacy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and physician assistant programs, which I'll get into some more detail on later, they generally have vast professional practice experience as well as teaching experience. And they can provide a great network for students going out into the world of work once they graduate. So we're a relatively small campus, but we are in a big city. So we have about 2,000 students at the moment. We are, as I mentioned, we're up the road from Baltimore in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is about an hour and a half from New York City and a couple of hours from Washington, D.C. And it's a great place to be a student. So we're actually in the city of Philadelphia, more specifically in the leafy west of the city. We've got a nice green pocket that we live in out in the west, but we're only an 8-minute trolley ride. We say trolley in Philadelphia. That means tram to most people from the city center. So students enjoy what feels like a small campus experience while still having access to all of the benefits of life in a large city. And in fact, Philadelphia is the US's 6th largest city. It is home to a big student population, as you can imagine. We have our neighbors, are the University of Pennsylvania, Drexel University, Jefferson University. A lot of students from all over the world come to Philadelphia to study and to live. So it's a great place for networking. It's a great place for extracurricular engagement and personal and career development. And then in terms of opportunities for graduates, as you can see here on the slide, we have more than 100 hospitals within 15 major health systems in the greater Philadelphia area. We're home to the number 2 children's hospital in the US, which is the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. There are 7 medical schools locally and more than 800 life science companies. And I think we're within 2 hours drive of most of the headquarters of large US pharmaceutical companies. And there are a few facts down here on our campus too. So it's a relatively small university, as I mentioned, but we have a wonderful little spot in University City, which is the neighborhood so named for our university and our neighbors Drexel and UPenn. We have some great facilities for students. I encourage you to check out our website and see what student life looks like. And for a small university, we have a very rich student life. So there are 60 plus student clubs and organizations, excuse me, on campus. And we really encourage students to get involved in all aspects of life as a student. So we say that our students are proven in the lab and proven in the classroom and proven everywhere because, you know, in addition to having a student experience in a great city like Philadelphia, we also have quite rigorous programs. And we really challenge our students early on. So our facilities reflect this. We have more than 100 labs across campus, and students can participate in research as early as freshman year for undergraduates and right from the start for most graduate programs. One example of an undergraduate research course is it's called Phage Hunters. So students discover, isolate, and name their own bacteriophages, and even publish their results in scientific journals. So it's a really good kickstart to a scientific career. And as you can see, there are some stats on our student to faculty ratio here. We pride ourselves on having a good small classroom feel where students can really get to know their teachers. So quite key to most students' assessment of their college is tuition and value. So at USciences, we have a fixed tuition rate, both at undergraduate and graduate. So there are no annual tuition increases. Undergraduate tuition is fixed at $27,500 a year. And graduate, it depends whether the graduate discount is applied, but it's a per credit cost and it's listed on our website. So we are considered to be one of the most affordable in the region, and Philadelphia, similar to Baltimore, is quite an affordable city, especially when you compare it to our neighbors, New York and DC. We do offer significant scholarship to support across the board. So we have merit and athletic scholarships. The merit scholarships for undergraduate are up to $10,000 per academic year at the undergraduate level. And we are in NCAA Division II for basketball and tennis, and these can completely cover undergraduate tuition costs. At the graduate level, there are select programs that have a tuition discount applied across the board, which make them very, very competitive regionally. And then students applying at the PhD level are automatically considered for funding, which can include full or partial funding in exchange for work as a graduate instructor or research assistant. Similarly to Johns Hopkins, scholarship consideration for graduate and undergraduate applicants is based on, it's not, you don't need to apply for it separately. It is considered at time of application and based on the merits of your application. And I'll talk a little bit about the application process in a minute. So moving on, it's quite important to note at this stage that USciences just signed a merger agreement in the last few weeks with another local university, St. Joseph's University. And this strategic move, really, it's designed to result in an institution that is going to be among the top 10 universities regionally, among the top 10 largest universities regionally, with a $505 million endowment to support it, and 2 campuses that will be separate but part of the same overarching institution. And these 2 schools really, they complement each other well. So St. Joe's didn't have the professional programs and the programs in health sciences that USciences offers. And USciences doesn't have the kind of liberal arts core that St. Joe's offers. So it will be a great way to get set for the future while also maintaining the integrity of our respective academic programs and departments. So I suppose moving on to the important stuff, which is the programs themselves. Here's a list of our professional programs. So our professional, programs for people who know what they want to do at the outset. And I suppose starting from the top line here, it says direct entry and post-baccalaureate. Direct entry basically means you apply as you would to any undergraduate program. So you save, essentially, if you apply direct entry to the pharmacy program, you save 2 years over if you were to apply and do a full undergraduate program and then take a separate PharmD program. In pharmacy, the last 2 years are rotations, and we have partnerships with over 300 clinical sites across the country. In physical therapy and occupational therapy, there is also significant fieldwork experience that the university connects you to providers for. And so for the admissions process in the PharmD direct entry, as I mentioned, it's like any other undergraduate program. I'll talk about that in a second. But for the post-bac, you apply via the PharmCAS platform, which is the specific platform for pharmacy applications. For PT post-bac, it's via PTCAS, which is specific for physical therapy applications. OT is via OTCAS. You will be familiar, if you're applying to these programs, with these different application platforms. So I wanted to make a note about the medical professions and working in the US as a Canadian specifically, in case that's not something that gets covered elsewhere in this presentation. So Canadians are eligible to work in specific fields under what's now called the USMCA agreement. It was formerly NAFTA. And essentially, Canadians can work indefinitely in the specific fields listed in the agreement, provided they remain employed. And I will say that included in the fields that Canadians can work in are all of these except for physician assistant studies. So I can add to the chat after I finish the specific list of specific fields that allow Canadians to work. So we'll move on to our undergraduate programs. As you can see, most of these are focused on healthcare or a pathway to pre-health preparation. All of the programs here that have stars do satisfy requirements for medical school, veterinary school, optometry school, and dental school. Then here are our graduate programs, similarly very focused on health sciences and professions. The one atypical program here is our MBA program, which is it's unique really because it focuses specifically on the pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. I am myself taking courses in this program and I'm finding it absolutely fascinating. Okay, so in terms of international student support, that is my side of the house. This is where our students come for advice on everything from, how to follow the rules for your visa and what to do once you graduate. So I offer immigration advising. I do social and cultural programming for our students, host regular workshops on employment, employability. These are super key things for international students. And if there's one piece of advice that I urge you to go away with today, it's to think longer term about what you plan to do after you graduate and how you can do that in the US, because it's a significant part of studying here. We also don't charge any additional fees for international students and the services we provide. So I see the clock is ticking, so I'll end here. You can see the contact details for our various different academic levels here, and my contact details are here too. I encourage you to follow us on social media, and I will hop over to the Q&A to see if there are any questions I can answer.
Yeah, Bill, the one I saw that came through is about scholarships. Do you offer needs-based scholarships for international students?
We do not offer needs-based scholarships. We only offer merit-based scholarships, but we are quite generous with our scholarship provision. So, our application process is free. So you are welcome to apply and see if you are awarded funding.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
Please, if you have more question about University of the Sciences, send Bill a private message and he can continue the conversation there. Also, if you haven't noticed yet, in the handouts section, some of the universities have provided additional handouts, so you can go ahead and check out those. And I will also go ahead and launch the pop-up for University of Sciences, so you can click on that to also learn some more information. And with that, I'm going to hand things off to Brian from Carleton College. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Jenika. Thanks for having us, and pleased to be here. And so I get the great fortune of telling you a little about Carleton College. I want to make perfectly clear, this is Carleton College in the United States, not Carleton University in Ottawa, Canada. We are two separate places. And this is a beautiful shot of our lovely 1,000-acre campus, 800 of which is our arboretum. Carleton, we are a small private liberal arts college, and so we kind of represent that wing that's a little different in the general scheme of higher ed in the United States, right? We have 33 majors, 37 minors. We really put that emphasis on you learning across the curriculum and exploring that curriculum, but doing it in a way that fits your own sort of path. Carleton, we have about 2,000 students, which gives that small kind of intimate feel. And you really will meet people from all over the United States and all over the world. About 11% of our students are international. We're Division III NCAA school, so you can easily combine your academic passions with your athletic interests. And we're nestled in a small town of Northfield, Minnesota, which has a population of about 20,000. We're 40 miles south of Minneapolis-St. Paul, major metropolitan area affectionately known as the Twin Cities. And so if you're coming from Canada, if you're flying into the area, you'll fly to Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. It's about a 30-minute drive from the airport to our campus. And of course, if you're coming from Winnipeg or Saskatchewan, right, you can easily drive down the plains to Minnesota. But as I said before, we're a liberal arts and science college, right? And that does not mean we only focus on the arts, and it doesn't mean we just focus on science. Really, it's the philosophy of learning across disciplines and having that well-rounded education. Part of the way we do that at Carleton is that you don't choose your major when you start at Carleton. You actually declare your major at the end of your sophomore year. So really are a place that wants you to try new things. You can come in with the intention of majoring in biology, but still take classes in history or physics. You can come with the intention of majoring in religion, but take classes in Arabic or gender and sexuality studies, right? One thing that is unique about our academic approach is that we operate on a trimester calendar. We break the year into 3 10-week terms. You take an average of 3 classes each trimester. And those terms really correspond with the seasons. There's a fall trimester, a winter trimester, and a spring trimester. One of the nice things about that schedule too is that we actually have a 6-week-long winter break. So that gives plenty of opportunity for students to get research experience, whether it's on campus or at another institution. It also gives students a chance to do more shadowing opportunities because of that longer break. Another thing that's really popular at Carleton is the idea that you can study abroad. Typically, 70% of our students study abroad while they're at Carleton. And that includes, opportunities within your major and out of your major, right? There's a tremendous amount of flexibility that you have when it comes not just to classes you're taking at Carleton, but also the study abroad experiences. And finally, your academic journey at Carleton culminates in what we call your comprehensive project, or we call this COMPS for short. This is research that you'll do in your major that can take you anywhere from 3 to 6 months. But all students at Carleton do this sort of work. So if you're a biology major and you're really interested in cellular molecular biology, you're going to do an intense research project guaranteed by the time you graduate. If you're double majoring, that means you're doing 2 of these projects. And so at Carleton, probably about 15% of students double major. It's much more common to see students pursue a major and a minor. And when you think about that academic sort of approach, even though we're a liberal arts and science institution, probably about 50% of our students major in math, science-related fields. Another third are going to major in social science-related fields, and then the rest will major in arts, humanities. So there's sometimes this misconception: if I go to a liberal arts college, I won't have great STEM opportunities, but that's not the case, and that's certainly not the case at Carleton. Carleton's also known for the quality of undergraduate teaching, right? If you care about rankings of colleges, Carleton's always rated #1 in quality undergrad teaching among small liberal arts colleges in the United States. Part of that is the fact that our students are extremely successful regardless of where the sort of career path they want to pursue. But also our faculty really love to teach, right? All your classes at Carleton are taught by professors. There are no teaching assistants or graduate students in your courses, partly because Carleton's completely undergraduate focused. And so if you want to learn from some of the best teachers in the world, it's pretty easy to do because they're, professors at Carleton are not hard to find. If you want to talk to them after class, it's really easy to do. It's easy to do that when your average class size is 16. In addition to the sort of teaching that happens, there's plenty of research opportunities. Like some of my peers mentioned, there's opportunities to come in at Carleton and start researching as early as your freshman year. And research can be important to you in the health science sort of path that you want to explore. And so getting opportunities to do that as early as your freshman year is one of the benefits of places that are here, but also places like Carleton. The other thing that's important to know too is you're never alone in this process, right? There are plenty of academic resources at Carleton to help you be successful, whether it's the Writing Center, whether it's using the Career Center, whether it's just talking to your academic advisor or your career advisors, right? There's a network of support that comes from being on that small campus. You'll be a known quantity and people will know you. And ultimately, that support also extends to our international students. We have an Office of International Student Life that is phenomenal in creating a space for students to have conversations that are meaningful as well and far-ranging. I want to get into kind of why I'm here, though, to talk about pre-health, right? And at Carleton, it is a pathway. So you don't major in pre-health at Carleton, but there's a series of courses that you can take to kind of help you in that path of pursuing medical school, dentistry, public health, and so on. You can be any major you want and be part of the pre-health program. And our pre-health advisor, usually calculates that probably about a third of our students who are in the pre-health program are not science or math majors, right? So you can be someone who majors in religion, but takes biology and chemistry classes, takes the physics classes and other classes as needed to be ready for that sort of path. The other thing that's also important to know about Carleton is that we will support your application to medical school or dentistry or whatever sort of health path you want to take, regardless of your GPA or standardized test scores on the MCAT or the other exams, right? You'll hear some schools claim that 100% of our students go to medical school or 100% of our students are accepted when they apply to medical school. What they don't always say is what the cutoffs are in terms of who they're supporting and who they're not supporting. So at Carleton, we will support your application regardless of your GPA or your MCAT. But thankfully, our students do quite well when it comes to applying. The national average for medical school acceptance in the United States hovers between 40 and 45%. That Carleton average over the last 5 years has been around 82%. And if you put in some of the cutoffs that other schools use in terms of who they support in the medical school application process, our acceptance rate jumps up to like 90, 95% where students are getting accepted to the medical school. There are some other special things that we do a little differently in terms of how we support students. And so we have a few partnerships that are noteworthy and a few programs that are noteworthy. First and foremost, you'll hear from University of Rochester later and their early assurance program, but we're a part of that, right? So we have the option for students to apply to University of Rochester Medical School at the end of their sophomore year and gain direct entry into that program after they graduate from Carleton. Another thing that's kind of unique to Carleton is the Paglia Post-Bac Research Fellowship. And so like many well-funded schools in the United States, we have donors who want to provide opportunities to alumni, from our alumni to current students, and so this research fellowship, gives students a chance to be financially supported while doing research that can prepare them for that MD, PhD path. One of our first recipients of that, this is a new fellowship, so in 2020 this debuted. One of the recipients is doing cancer research at Dana-Farber in Massachusetts, which is connected to Harvard. And she's pursuing an MD, PhD sort of program. And so we have this support for students who want to go that sort of path. We also have a really special connection with the Mayo Clinic. And maybe you've heard of the Mayo Clinic. It's one of the best hospital systems in the world. The Mayo Clinic headquarters is only about 40 minutes from our campus in Rochester, Minnesota. And so we have a partnership with them for the Pre-Med Insight program. And this is specifically designed for students who are underrepresented in the medical professions, right? Whether they're first generation, low income, whether they're coming from diverse backgrounds. But this is a chance for you to be mentored by doctors who work and practice at the Mayo Clinic, which is a really cool opportunity. This is open to non-US citizens as well. So it's a really great opportunity for students to get that exposure to what high-level medicine is going to look like. And finally, the last program I want to mention is called Focus. And that's a program that's created at Carleton that kind of is modeled on creating a cohort of support, right? Supporting students who want to have a career in the sciences, right? And sometimes people think that to be really competitive in med school or really to be competitive in the education process, you have to be looking out just for you. Focus tries to flip that on its head and give a culture of support and camaraderie rather than having be ultra competitive and ultra cutthroat. That program is available to students starting in the first year. And so it's a really cool opportunity to kind of get a cohort sort of based passion for the sciences. As I mentioned before, Carleton does quite well in terms of where students go. You can kind of see the laundry list there. That's not the full list. You can find the full list on our website. And finally, I mentioned sort of that collaborative nature within Focus, and that really mirrors the culture at Carleton, right? We are not a place that gets ultra competitive and cutthroat in the classroom. Carleton is a place where people really are supportive and really outwardly friendly. For being a top-ranked institution in the nation, I mean, if you care about that, like Carleton, again, is one of the top liberal arts colleges in the country, we're not at all caught up on that. And it's pretentious to say that we're unpretentious, but it really is a place that is welcoming and friendly and down to earth. You'll find Carleton students going everywhere after graduation. It is really common to see students pursue graduate school. Within 5 years of graduation, over 70% of students will go on to get an advanced degree of some sort. And our location in Minnesota means that we have lots of great companies in the Twin Cities that regularly recruit our students, but you'll also find Carleton alum going on to careers, whether they're in Shanghai, whether they're in Singapore, whether they're in London, as well as Vancouver, Toronto, et cetera. If you do decide to apply to Carleton, we are a school that accepts the common application, the coalition application, or QuestBridge. Our review process is holistic, so there's no minimum GPA you need, there's no minimum test score, but it is quite competitive. This past year, we accepted around 18% of students that apply. The SAT and ACT are test optional for this academic cycle or application cycle, as well as the next application cycle. And in terms of financial aid, Carleton does provide need-based financial aid, right? We meet 100% demonstrated for all admitted students, including our international students. We are need aware, but we also tend to treat Canadians like US citizens in the application process. And so that aid that you get from Carleton is going to be grant-based aid that you don't have to repay. If you do decide to apply, know that we're also a school that practices early decision and regular decision. Only apply early if you're absolutely sure Carleton's where you want to go, because it is a binding process. There's more I could say, but I'm going to stop. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer a few of those.
Well, I haven't seen a lot flood in yet, but please ask your questions, and Brian would be happy to answer them. I would love for you to just tell the group about living in Minnesota. How do you find that maybe there's some similarities to Canada, you know, sharing some geography, and maybe some things that are unique to the US and to your environment?
Sure. I mean, I think Minnesota certainly informs the culture at Carleton, and there is this Midwestern friendly kind of mentality that I think does mirror some of what you see in Canada, right? So there's a general kind of we call it Minnesota nice, right? But this idea that you can be around people that maybe you don't know well, but still feel comfortable and still feel accepted for who you are and what you bring to campus. I sometimes joke that I wish Minnesota was a seed and joined Canada, because we'd be the southernmost state or province in the country. But I think our values really do align quite well, right? Of just being, you know, nice, kind people in this sort of process. I think too, some of the differences though, right, of where we are, you know, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the metropolitan area, you know, it reminds me a lot of places like Toronto in terms of just the diversity of people that are going to be around, the range of opportunities, the range of activities that are going to be involved. And I think given our location in the United States, you know, the one of the benefits of our location is the ease at which you can kind of get everywhere. Like everywhere from Minnesota is within about a 3-hour plane ride. You know, 4 hours is the longest it'll take to kind of get to, say, California or things like that. So our central location, I think, is really kind of special in terms of how we can easily get you from point A to point B. There's more I could say, but I'm out of time.
Thank you so much, Brian. Please feel free to keep asking your questions in the Q&A chat and through the private chat function. We're going to keep moving. So as you can see, we've learned the different pathways through a liberal arts college, through a very specific health sciences university, through a large private research university. Now we're going to shift our focus to a tech university. And I look forward to hearing next from Kara from Texas Tech.
Thank you so much. Again, my name is Kara Balco. I am from Texas Tech University. I work here in the Office of International Affairs. So as she mentioned, we are Texas Tech University. However, we have over 150 academic programs stretched out over 10 colleges and campuses. So a little bit about us, we have over 40,000 students on our campus and over 1,800 acres of our campus as well. Even though we have a very large campus with a large student population, we still maintain a 20-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio given our campus size. The reason I like to mention this is we have world-renowned faculty that is accessible to you. This is very important, especially being research-minded, as those of you here at this showcase are very much interested in that. Being in the health sciences is such an innovative area as it is. Speaking on that, we are also a Tier 1 research university. So it's the highest classification that a university can receive in terms of research. So major companies and organizations and healthcare facilities are granting our institution funding to essentially do research at our faculty and students' hands. And I'm mentioning this because every major stretched out across Texas Tech University, especially within the health sciences, it's very possible to get involved in that, and a very large percentage of our students are intrigued in this and participate in that. As I mentioned a little bit, we have over 150 undergraduate programs, over 100 masters, and over 50 doctoral. And I'll talk specifically about those health sciences here in just a second. We are located in Lubbock, Texas, a little bit farther than Canada, just a little bit. And I wanted to show you a slide on where we're located. So we're the largest city in the northwestern part of the very large state of Texas. We're within pretty decent driving distance to get to a bunch of major cities, both in Texas and in surrounding states. Always something unique to see, get involved in hiking, big cities to experience. So I love living here for that purpose. It's a perfect central location. And we have international restaurants and markets, more than 75 venues and parks in our city of Lubbock alone. And we have tons of museums, art centers, libraries, local musicians, and artists as well. Academic opportunities. I'm going to pause here just to say, so we have a fully functioning university housing those 150 majors with those 10 colleges. We also have a School of Law, and we have a School of Veterinary Medicine that's opening its first cohort in August of this year. We're very excited. This has been years in the making, years of research, international research, and we're launching that, our first cohort in a couple of months. And we have our Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center, which I'm going to focus on today. So academics at the TTU-HSC include our School of Nursing, our School of Medicine, School of Health Professions. We have a School of Pharmacy and Biomedical Sciences at the graduate level. Our School of Nursing has been around for quite some time. It was established in 1981. You'll truly enjoy a comprehensive curriculum coming to our nursing school. We have tons of different ways to get involved. We have multiple hospitals in our city, different clinical settings, and different ways to get involved, traumatic brain injury hospitals, tons of different ways to have that inpatient and outpatient experience as a School of Nursing student. We also have a School of Health Professions, which houses your majors like your lab sciences, primary care, your rehabilitation sciences to include occupational therapy, physical therapy, your PA and athletic training. We have our speech, language, and hearing sciences, healthcare management and leadership, and clinical counseling and mental health. Mental health is a new one. It's a new sector that we just opened 2 years ago. It is booming. We are doing so much research for the entire state and nation, and our students and faculty are leading that, and we're very excited about it. I also have to throw a personal note. As of May, I am a student at the Health Sciences Center pursuing my doctorate in occupational therapy. And what I can say is that the TTU-HSC is there for you. I mean, the benefits of being a part of this institution and the faculty that I've already been involved in just in the month the support that I've received. Just wanted to make that personal note that I'm experiencing that, and I had to make sure you know that that is available to you as well as a benefit to choose Texas Tech. School of Medicine, our School of Medicine is doing incredible things as well. We were established in 1969, and basically, unlike traditional MD programs that separate your basic science teaching from clinical practice, we've designed a humanistic systems-based curriculum that integrates your interdisciplinary blocks of research, clinical training at every stage. I wanted to point out that the students that are here are doing incredible things. Actually, this picture on the right is one of our School of Medicine graduates who has gone on to complete his residency and chief residency at the Mayo Clinic and is now doing fellowship at another incredible institution, University of North Carolina. So doing some incredible things here, kind of putting a personal touch here that, we celebrate our students from all over the world. We're a very diverse university. We have over 2,800 international students represented from over 115 different countries. So the reason that I'm pointing that out is here at Texas Tech, we believe in a global academic experience. We believe that the more you involve yourself in those cultures from around the world, the better clinician and healthcare worker that you're going to be. We also have our School of Pharmacy. Our first cohort years ago in 1996, we had about 64 members, and we've been growing ever since. Our clinical experience that our pharmaceutical students are receiving is one of the highest amount of clinical hours that students receive in the nation. The reason I point that out is it's very important to have that hands-on training, and we are definitely ensuring that here at TwoYear that our students are able to have that hands-on experience. Student life. I want to talk to you a little bit about specifically Texas Tech University and the benefits of choosing to come all the way to the state of Texas. So we have over 550 student organizations here on campus. We have 19 residence halls, over 30 places to eat, and that ranges from coffee, grabbing things to go, to your vegetarian options, your buffet. I mean, the sky's the limit, and we have tons of different options for you. And we have a massive recreation center. This is probably one of my favorite benefits personally, as now I'm a student, but I really like this because, academics are super important, but it's also important to take care of yourself and your health to be a better clinician down the road. And we have a massive, massive recreation center, very state-of-the-art. In addition, Texas gets hot. A little disclaimer, it does get hot. But we have this leisure pool. It's one of the largest pools on a college campus in the nation, and that's free for you as well. And spirit and tradition. We've talked about this. This is definitely just part of, that college experience and getting to enjoy yourself, and that's definitely not lacking here at Texas Tech University. Affordability. So here at Texas Tech, we do everything that we can to make your education affordable and fair. Right, so this is our current cost of attendance, and I wanted to show you an example of what that looks like. This is our current cost of attendance for a non-resident of the state of Texas and then resident of the state of Texas. The reason I bring up the resident rate is that students, including international, who are awarded a competitive scholarship of at least $1,000 automatically qualify to pay resident tuition rate. So that's an automatic savings on 50% of tuition, and that's before any deduction of scholarships comes out. I wanted to show you an example of what that looks like as well. This is our Presidential Merit Scholarship. This is for our incoming freshman students. Every student that applies to Texas Tech is automatically considered. There is not a certain application that you have to fill out for this. So you can see here, it's your SAT or ACT test scores combined with class rank. As long as you meet one of the criteria, you're awarded the amount that is shown plus in-state tuition. And the scholarship is renewable for up to 4 years. So potentially your entire duration here at Texas Tech. There is a renewal requirement, as you can see here in this chart. And the last thing I want to say about this specific scholarship is that it does say there's an SAT or ACT test score, believe, as Jenika stated, about 60% of U.S. universities are what we call test optional here in the States. And this scholarship is also test optional, which means you could be considered for merit without the SAT or ACT. And at that point, we would just require to see perhaps letters of recommendation or further essays to determine your academic prestige coming into the university. If you have questions about this, please put them in the chat. I'd love to talk with you and answer those after the presentation. We also have something for transfer students. So if you wanted to complete 2 years somewhere else, perhaps in Canada or wherever you're at or want to go, and then transfer to Texas Tech, we also have a merit scholarship for that as well. Again, no separate application. So as long as you finish about 2 years or 60 credits and have at least a 3.5 GPA, you receive $4,000 per year plus in-state tuition, and it's renewable for up to 4 years. So for sure, as long as you maintain that requirement, the completion of your degree here at Texas Tech University. We have other scholarships as well. So on top of being merit-based, we are also need-based and need-aware. And some of these scholarships are focusing not just on need, but also on your academic experience and your experience as an international student. So this is something to consider if you're considering Texas Tech. We have a whole website, international.ttu.edu, that outlines all of our scholarships in full detail. Some are competitive, so if you remember the competitive word I said earlier, if you receive a competitive scholarship, you also get in-state tuition. So again, just trying to make as many opportunities specifically for international students or even students that don't live in Texas to still be able to come experience all that we have to offer for our students. The outcomes. I'm sorry about that. Outcomes of coming to Texas Tech are huge. You will truly be a Red Raider for life. We have strong alumni resources, interpersonal connections with faculty, and partnerships all around the world, all around the nation. Basically, anything that you desire and dream of your education, we will make sure that happens to you to our best of our ability, of course, for you here at Texas Tech, and make sure you feel supported while you're here. Just like Carleton College mentioned that they've got that Midwestern vibe, we definitely have that Southern hospitality vibe. I'm actually from Michigan, so they changed me, right? I'm now Texan. No, I'm just kidding. But it's an incredible place to be. It's super welcoming, super inclusive, and definitely lots of opportunity for you as an international student and hopefully a future Red Raider. I wanted to also put on our social media. We're very, very active here, so it's definitely one of the best ways to get in contact with us, as well as email. So I'll take a couple of minutes to talk or go through some of the questions that have come through if I can, but do follow us, get in contact with me. Any questions that you have about anything you've heard here today, I'd be more than happy to talk with you and connect you to the right people for what you're wanting. Let me check the... Yes, it is a lazy river. It's 647 feet. It's the longest lazy river on a college campus in the nation. So let's see. What are GPA hours? I understand the question. Yeah, good question. GPA hours is essentially credit hours. It's just how we delineate that here at Texas Tech. So credit hours, as long as you have 60 credit hours, you would be eligible to get that Proven Achiever Scholarship, or for the new requirement on that freshman scholarship we looked at, same thing. You have to have 30 credit hours across an academic year. So that includes fall, spring, and summer. Can Canadians apply to the BSND? Yes, and just like John Hopkins had mentioned, naturally here in the States, it is just a little bit more difficult for international students to attend med school. However, we do all that we can here in our office. So my office is for the whole university, and there's even a separate international office at the HSC, which is actually right across the street from where I'm at right now. So yes, that's possible. But yes, as you're probably aware, that just we do whatever we can to make sure that we can work within what you're wanting.
Thank you so much, Kara, for the information and for introducing us to Texas Tech. Kara's going to hang out. Definitely ask her more questions in the private chat. So as you can see, we're traversing across the United States, all different kinds of universities. And next stop is Kentucky. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. All right, next up is University of Kentucky.
Great. So thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and to be able to talk to you specifically about health sciences at the University of Kentucky. I am going to start off with just some general information about the university, and then I'll talk really specifically about what possibilities there are to major in health sciences at UK. So, University of Kentucky is located in Lexington, Kentucky. We're in the southeastern part of the United States. We are right in the heart of Lexington on a nice campus that is walkable to our downtown. And we are actually the third safest metro city in the US of 2019. A new poll came out yesterday where they surveyed the kindest states in the United States, and Kentucky came in number one, ranked as the kindest state in the United States. We're also ranked among the best places to live in America, best city for new graduates, and a best city with high salary and low cost of living. University of Kentucky is a residential campus. We are a large public research university with around 30,000 students, and we have a vibrant on-campus presence. If you are a sports fan, a basketball fan perhaps, you've heard of University of Kentucky basketball, American football. These are really big. Game days are always a lot of fun on campus, and our students really enjoy having these facilities available. Right down the street. We also, if you're not into sports, we have over 500 student clubs and organizations. So whatever your interests are, there is definitely an opportunity to get involved. We have special orientation activities for our international students before the start of the academic year. So these are specific to whatever needs you might have to help you get acclimated to campus, to introduce you to all of the services that are available to our international students, as well as cultural programming year-round. So University of Kentucky is a top 100 public research university in the United States. We are a Division I research university, so the highest level of research, and we are a top university for international students in the US. Overall, we have around 30,000 undergraduate and graduate students. I think 31 now maybe is the total. And we have over 200 majors and programs. So we're really excited that our size allows us to offer so many options for our students. One of the things that makes University of Kentucky unique, especially compared to a lot of the large public universities in the United States, is that our campus is not spread out in multiple locations. All of our colleges, including the College of Nursing, the College of Pharmacy, the College of Medicine, the College of Dentistry, and the College of Public Health, as well as the University of Kentucky Healthcare System and hospitals, are all located on one central campus. And this means that our students who are interested in healthcare professions have some amazing opportunities without even having to leave campus. And I will come to those in just a few minutes. So the last thing that I want to mention before I get into the more specific health sciences information are the scholarship opportunities that we have for international students. We do not have need-based financial aid. All of our scholarship programs are merit-based for international students. We have three main scholarship opportunities for our international students. And I know this is a question that came up earlier. We are currently test optional for both admissions and scholarship consideration. So you do not have to worry about the SAT or the ACT right now. Our Bluegrass Spirit Academic Scholarship, this is our main academic-based scholarship. You do not need to do anything to apply. You are automatically considered for this when you apply to the university. As you can see, we now have two separate criteria if you apply with the SAT or ACT, or if you apply without the SAT or ACT. So if you apply with the SAT, you need to have a 3.0 GPA and a 1200 or up SAT score in order to be considered for these scholarships. If you apply without the SAT, the GPA does rise to a 3.5. In addition to our academic scholarship, we have two other scholarship programs for international students, our William C. Parker Diversity Scholarship and our International Ambassador Scholarship. Both of these do require extra materials. in the form of an essay, and for the International Ambassador Program, an interview as well. And students very often receive more than one of these scholarships. Often our students receive all three of these scholarships. It is possible to receive all three scholarships and add up to full tuition. Now, this is just the full tuition, not housing expenses. We do not give scholarships to international students that cover housing as well. But you can certainly add up to the full cost of tuition through the multiple scholarship opportunities that we have. So I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about our health sciences options at University of Kentucky. So first, in our College of Nursing, you can enter directly into the College of Nursing and get a BSN in nursing. We have an excellent School of Nursing. Actually, for the last year where they have the record so far, I think for 2019, the nursing student graduates had 100% pass rate for the first time they took the CLEPS, which is the licensing exam, which is really amazing. So you can get your BSN in nursing. For those of you interested in graduate school, there are also master's degrees and a doctor of nursing practice, nurse practitioner degrees available in our College of Nursing. For those of you who are interested in pharmacy, medicine, dentistry, optometry, and veterinary, I'm including that right in there with the rest of the health sciences, we have pre-professional programs. So these are interest areas that students complete alongside the core UK requirements and the major curriculum of the major that you choose. So you choose a major, and then alongside that major, you are in a pre-professional program. And I'll talk a little bit more about the benefits of that in just a moment. So as I said, our pre-professional program is pre-pharmacy, and students may apply to our College of Pharmacy after 2 or 3 years of undergraduate study. We are a top 10 College of Pharmacy in the whole United States. So this is an amazing opportunity to complete 3 years of undergraduate and then enter directly into the College of Pharmacy. So you're kind of shaving a year off the whole process. And we also, as I said, have pre-med programs, pre-dentistry, pre-optometry, and pre-veterinary. Pre-professional programs. So what are the advantages of a pre-professional program? So as I said, you have a major, and then in addition to being in the major, you are involved in the pre-professional program, whether that's pre-med or pre-pharmacy or pre-dentistry or whichever one that you choose. There are several advantages to this. First of all, you have a pre-professional advisor. This means you actually have 2 advisors. You have your major advisor, if you're a biology advisor, you have a biology major, and in addition to that, you have a pre-med advisor who is specifically helping you get on the right path in terms of the classes you take and then the opportunities beyond classes that are important to get accepted to medical school. There are specific student clubs, pre-pharmacy club, pre-medical club. There are activities, both professional and social and community building within the pre-professional programs. You'll get a lot of information here about job shadowing and other opportunities, and you'll connect with the Center for Community Outreach, which has a lot of important and really interesting volunteer opportunities for our students to get involved in the community in ways that are going to enhance your profile when it comes time to apply for the College of Medicine, for example. So what major should you choose? And I know this is something that other schools have mentioned, in that you do not have to, there are of course the traditional, the biology or chemistry or biochemistry. There are many majors that you can choose, and you can double major as well. And these are just some of the more common ones. So biology, chemistry, and biochemistry. So these are probably the most common ones for students who plan on majoring in pre-med. Other ones that are popular at University of Kentucky for students interested in the health sciences are to major in medical lab sciences, human health sciences, neuroscience, biomedical engineering, agricultural and medical biotechnology, or public health, because we do have a School of Public Health as well. So it is really popular, for example, to do a double major in public health and biology, depending on what your interests are. And this is just an example of some of the most popular pre-health science majors, not the only ones that are available. Working together with your pre-professional advisor, it would really be up to you to kind of choose your path there. We have a lot of research and internship opportunities for our students, and these are really key and really valuable when you're applying to medical school or dental school or veterinary school. We have an Office of Undergraduate Research whose sole purpose is to work with our students and find research opportunities with professors. There are a lot of opportunities for volunteering and shadowing. As I said, the University of Kentucky hospital and dental clinic and medical clinics are literally on our campus. So you don't have to leave campus, you don't have to find transportation to do volunteering, to do shadowing, to do even on-campus jobs. Internships and co-ops are always available, as well as on-campus jobs for our students within the kind of healthcare system. So I'm going to give you a few examples of the recent accomplishments of our international students who are in the health sciences. So Tran, last year she finished up. She spent 3 years as an undergraduate. And as an undergraduate, she was a student employee at the UK Healthcare Transplant Clinic, the organ transplant clinic. She actually was nominated, was a finalist for University of Kentucky Student Employee of the Year because she was such an amazing employee there. She got opportunities to do shadowing while she was there. In addition to her job, she got opportunities to actually observe transplant surgeries as well. And she entered UK College of Pharmacy after her 3rd year of undergraduate. A current student, Marin, who is actually a transfer student who just started at University of Kentucky last year. She is a biomedical technology major. She is pre-med, and she currently has a summer research internship with the Markey Cancer Center at University of Kentucky Healthcare. This is part of our Market Strong Scholars program. So this includes both mentored research and clinical shadowing experience in cancer research. So this is really a program that she is specifically designed for students who are interested in going into medical research and medical school. Daya, who is a pre-pharmacy major, is right now doing a summer-long research project in pharmaceutical development along with the Department of Chemical Engineering. And Sanjana, who is another one of our pre-med students, she just completed her 1st year. So she just finished her freshman year, and she is a neuroscience and psychology double major and currently working as an undergraduate research assistant on Alzheimer's research at the University of Kentucky Healthcare Sanders Brown Center on Aging. So this is just, I wanted to give you some real examples of the kind of opportunities our students have after your 1st year, 2nd year, or 3rd year to really get involved. And you do have the support system on campus that is absolutely going to help you do that. We don't just tell you, okay, go ahead and find an opportunity. No, you have your advisors, your major advisor, your pre-professional advisor. You have the Office of Undergraduate Research. You have the Career Center. All of these resources are available, as well as the knowledge of students who have done these before, to really help you identify these opportunities and make the most of your time as an undergraduate, whether this means doing research during the semester, doing a special summer project, or doing both. There are a lot of possibilities. So that is it. I'm trying not to overwhelm you with information. If you want to get in touch, please don't hesitate. Our social information is here. My email is here. I know I presented information that is mostly geared towards undergraduates, but if you are interested in graduate studies, medical school, dentistry school, etc., at University of Kentucky, please email me. And if I personally am not the right person to answer your question, I will 100% put you in contact with the person who is. So I'm very happy that I had the chance to present to you. I will hang around in the chat for a while. So if you have any questions, you can message me and I'm happy to chat further and set up a time to talk individually if you think that you would be interested in the University of Kentucky.
Thank you, Rachel. A question came through that I'm not sure is appropriate for your institution. First of all, do you create a GPA in the admissions process? And if so, how do you do that for an IB student?
Right. So yeah, I can speak to this more generally, not specifically for IB students, but we have in our Office of Admissions, and this is the same, I would say, for most American universities, we have admissions officers who are international admissions officers, meaning they only deal with international students. So their whole job is taking different systems of education, or like the IB, which we also see in the United States, and converting them to the GPA system. I know if you are interested in specifics, you can find kind of online calculators that can help you approximate that if you kind of Google around and search for it. But our admissions office, you don't have to do that yourself when you're sending your credentials to our university or any American university. Our international admissions officers are experts in that. So.
Excellent. And also related to rank, I can tell you that most Canadian institutions don't rank students, and that's totally fine. And admissions officers are used to having or not having that information.
Yeah, that's not super important.
Thank you so much. And please continue to reach out to Rachel and learn more about University of Kentucky. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Fabulous. And we are headed into our last two institutions. Coming up next, we have the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and we have Krista joining us. Hi, Krista.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
All right, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Great, thank you. So thank you, Jenika, for the invitation to present and meet with students today. I'm very, very excited to share with you Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, where our campus is located in Boston, but we have other campuses in Worcester, Massachusetts, as well as Manchester, New Hampshire. First off, though, I'd like to make a plug for EducationUSA and Jenika. You have an incredible resource with Jenika. Not only does she understand the Canadian education system, but she understands the more than 5,000 U.S. colleges and universities. So please use Jenika as a resource. Definitely follow that Instagram page. She has some incredible webinars and topics that can keep you all engaged and get you ready for study in the U.S. So let's get going. So we like to call ourselves the most comprehensive healthcare university in the United States. All we do is the health sciences. So all of our majors of study focus on the health sciences. So we don't have architecture. We don't have a school of engineering. We don't have Division 1, 2, or 3 athletics. All of our focus is in preparing the future global healthcare leaders. We are the oldest university in Boston, getting very close to celebrating our 200th anniversary or birthday, older than some of the universities that you might think of when you think of the city of Boston. We have the largest and second oldest school of pharmacy in the United States. So as you can imagine by our namesake, pharmacy is very much a part of who we are. It's a part of the culture and the identity of the institution. All of our faculty come to MCPHS to be primarily teachers. They have probably achieved their highest degree in their chosen discipline, but they're also coming to us with lots of practitioner experience as well. And they are there to share not only the theoretical knowledge around the discipline that you're going to study, but of course have the practical experience to help you navigate your future career. So we have more than 100 degree programs at the undergraduate level, the graduate level, at the professional degree level, again, all focusing on those important health science programs. With our long history and our 200th birthday nearing the corner, you can imagine that we have worldwide alumni. I mean, more than 30,000 alumni all over the globe have studied with us at MCPHS. We bring international students from more than 75 different countries, and Canada is right up there, just given our proximity. And, you know, just the focus on healthcare, we know that a lot of Canadian students are interested in these fields. And so we do get or have a couple hundred Canadian students that study with us. So why are Canadian students choosing MCPHS? This slide here can basically frame the agenda of what I'd like to share with you today. So again, we're just that small and nimble institution. We're quite small. We're only about 7,500 students, all of those majors focusing on the health sciences. We have a lot of direct entry options for students as well. So anyone who's with us today coming directly from high school, we have a direct PharmD program that you can complete in 6 years. And if you're an exceptional student, it it can actually be completed in 5 years. So we tend to see a lot of high school student interest in the PharmD program specifically. The success rates, our Canadian students, all of our students at the institution do exceptionally well. We ensure that you have the adequate background to be admitted to the institution, and that gives you the foundation to be successful with us. Just being a small university, you're not going to get lost in the shuffle. Our student to faculty ratio is only about 13-1. So you can imagine in these labs and in these lectures, we're not talking hundreds and hundreds of students that you're studying alongside. Your class sizes are going to be very small, and your faculty are going to be very accessible to you. I'll talk about our location in just a moment, but it is an important consideration and a part of our identity of who we are. We have student support for you right through your admission process, right through graduation, and right through becoming an alumni of the institution as well. So this is the part of the presentation that I'd really like to focus on today. We're going to ensure that when you're with us as a student, not only are you learning within the four walls of the classroom, but you're constantly going to be building your resume of experience with us as well. You can see here we offer more than 11,000 annual clinical placements. We believe in a notion, what we call interprofessional education. So we know that collaboration across healthcare professions is at the heart of integrated care models, and we see that in today's healthcare system. Our interprofessional education experience will give you the training in our laboratories, our classrooms, our simulations. You're going to have opportunities for internships, fellowships, residencies, volunteerism experience, and the list goes on. We know that this team-based approach is actually the forefront of the future of healthcare. So not only are you going to be a practitioner in your chosen discipline, we want you to be exposed to other healthcare areas as well. So for example, our pharmacy students will study alongside our optometry students so that you can understand the nuances of each of the professions, but how to problem solve with each other to give the best patient care in the future. I will talk about this slide just a little bit more when we get to location. So we know that attending an institution in the United States is a very, very big decision for Canadian students and families. We know that it's not only an academic decision to study with us, but it's a financial decision as well. This slide just sort of highlights some of the sort of experience and reputation that MCPH has. We prepare our graduates very, very well to go on to be those future global healthcare leaders. You are going to be in positions where that return on investment is well paid off. Our graduates go on to have higher salaries, personal wealth, financial standing than even some of the best Ivy League institutions in the United States. So we know it's a big decision, and we're going to help you get there. So let's get to know the Boston campus specifically. The campus itself is located in the Longwood medical area of Boston. This is a very, very important center, not only a center in Boston, but a center in the world. There's more healthcare research being done in the Longwood medical area than there is anywhere else across the globe. This global medical hub is home to the nation's #1 pediatric hospital, the 5th best cancer institute. We have the Fortune 500 company of Merck, all within walking distance of the Boston campus. So Merck wasn't a household name just a couple of years ago, but given the COVID-19 pandemic, this is more and more of a household name, and you're going to have access to these institutions. So all of that resume building experience will come just on doorsteps, footsteps away from where you're going to be studying in your classrooms. We do have housing available for students. In fact, all of our undergraduate programs are located at our Boston campus. We have a vibrant student activities and social experience for students. Just as other presenters have said, you're here to be very, very focused on your academics, but we know that your well-being and becoming a well-shaped future adult and well-shaped in your career means that you have an active and connected network, and building those personal relationships and friendships is a part of that. So popular programs at the Boston campus, again, it goes back to the direct entry options. So we tend to see a lot of Canadian high school students that come to us for our BS MD program. This is a highlight, and a partner institution of ours is St. George's University for this program. You will study the first 3 years in our pre-medical and health studies bachelor's degree program. And then through our partnership with St. George's University, you'll go on to St. George's University Medical School for the next 4 years. We're very, very proud of that partnership. We also, by our namesake, of course, have our School of Pharmacy and tend to see a lot of freshman transfer students coming into either our direct entry PharmD program, or we have an accelerated PharmD program for students that have the appropriate number of credits and also, the intent to obviously pursue that future degree. We have our own School of Optometry, and so we have a pathway for that. We have physical therapy. We have a pathway for that. So you can see these are interesting options for students. Oops. Let's go back to the Boston location. So here is the Longwood Medical Area. You can see the campus itself is located in the circle, and you can see all of these institutions of higher education, research institution, healthcare institutions, and of course, pharmaceutical companies to help you build that resume of experience. For students who are looking at transfer or pursuing one of our professional degree programs, our Worcester campus is a great option for Canadian students. We have the School of Pharmacy there. We also have an accelerated nursing program there, and we have our School of Optometry there. The optometry program is growing leaps and bounds with Canadian students. We're getting a lot of interest from students for this program. We only accept 64 students into the optometry program each year. I'd love to work with you if you're thinking about a future career, either as the pathway student to start as an undergrad or to come to us after you've completed a bachelor's degree at another institution. So back to that investment, we definitely will consider all students at the point of admission for merit-based scholarship. So there's no separate application required. We consider all students, not just freshman students, but our transfer students and our graduate students as well, are all assessed for scholarship at the point of admission. We're also designated institution of many of the provincial financial aid programs. Most recently, we're this close to getting our designation with Manitoba Student Aid, but we've been long established with Alberta, British Columbia, with the Ontario OSAP program, and of course, Quebec as well. So are you ready to apply? I made this simple because I know the audience today is very diverse. I know there's high school students, I know there's transfer students, and I know there's students who've completed bachelor degree programs and are looking for the graduate level experience. The thing I want to leave you with is that we really do understand the Canadian education system. I myself am Canadian. I'm a product of the Canadian education system. I did high school in Canada. I also completed my undergraduate degree in Canada after which I moved to the United States for my career and for higher degrees as well. We understand those provincial high school graduation requirements. We really understand the CEGEP program. In fact, we have admission policies built around the CEGEP program. We also understand those Canadian universities. We understand what it means to be, a life sciences major at McMaster. We understand what it means to be in a pre-pharmacy program at Waterloo. So please talk to us. We really do like to take an individual one-on-one approach to your admission journey. Reach out. We can do a Zoom meeting. We want to know your educational background, but of course we want to understand what your future career goals are so that we can help you find a good match. And our last slide here is all of our social media links. I'd encourage you to get on, explore who we are. The YouTube channel is fantastic. It's a great way to see student perspectives and hear from our faculty as well about what makes us a very, very unique institution for students who would like to pursue the health sciences. So thank you very much for your attention. I know you've had a lot of presentations today. So are there any questions? Are there things that I can answer before heading into the Q&A and chat?
Krista, there was a question in the public chat. Did you see that one from Christian?
I did not. No, we do have that program at our Boston campus. So the Master of Science in Clinical Research can be completed in person at the Boston campus. You don't have to do it online. Online is an option, but of course, if you want that face-to-face experience, we'd love to welcome you to Boston.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Krista. And if any of you have any questions, like she said, she'll be taking them. And thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks, Jenika.
Awesome. So I realized I'd forgotten to throw the pop-up for University of Kentucky. So my apologies to our friends at Kentucky, but here is that pop-up. And this is a quick reminder, if you go to the handout section, a lot of universities have included an additional handout you can download. Also, you can go back to any of the pop-up offers and you can go to the links in case you swiped one away earlier and now you're interested in clicking on it. All right, we're now at the end of our program, and I'm very happy to have University of Rochester here to speak about their health sciences program, REAMS, as well as their campus. And I'm going to hand things over now to Brett. Hi, Brett.
Hi, Jenika. Thank you so much for having me today and for this wonderful program. So I hope everyone in the audience today is doing well. You're getting so much amazing information, and so very excited for you. So thanks for sticking it out this long as well. So this is great. My name is Brett Cam, and I am the Assistant Director for International Admissions at Rochester. For those of you who may not be too familiar with Rochester, we are a medium-sized, but on the smaller end of that scale, private institution that offers Tier 1 research opportunities located in upstate New York. So we are just a few hours from Toronto, which I'll show you in just a moment, and a wealth of other cities in the region on the East Coast. So really excited to be here today. Some of the things that really make Rochester, I think, stand out are, of course, our open curriculum, which we have at the undergraduate level, as well as our diverse student body. We have a diversity of about 30% of our entire enrollment for undergraduate students is international. So our students come from over 120 countries, and so you absolutely have classes with students from New Zealand and Japan and everywhere else in the world. So really great diversity. And then of course our Tier 1 research is just unprecedented. It's wonderful. We offer just the highest level of resources and availability for research. So that is something that I'll also, mention as we go through. So some of the things I wanted to highlight for you today about Rochester, of course, location is really important when you're considering your institutions. So sharing that with you, also talking a little bit more specifically about our medical center, because it's a very big deal here at Rochester. And then, mentioning some of the pre-health programs that we have here. So we have the REMS, HEAL, and DDN. We love our acronyms at Rochester, so definitely bear with me for that, and I will go through each of those a little bit more. And then the advanced, advising and support that we offer for our students. So whether you are interested in becoming an MD, maybe you're interested in optometry or dental, whatever path, epidemiology, we are going to be there with you from start to finish to ensure that you are really supported and that you are making the most of what it is that we have to offer for you. So these are things that I'd like to highlight. So first, like I mentioned, we are in Rochester, New York. So upstate, some people say Western New York. Technically, we're upstate New York. And so right there near Toronto, you can see as our closest neighbor outside of Buffalo. And it's just a really cool place to be because we have all of these major cities around us that are just within, a few hours driving distance. We also have the Rochester International Airport, international specifically because it services Canada. And we have Amtrak and a variety of other methods to get around. So lots of resources. We do have students that, take internships in New York City or Washington, D.C. over the summer or over a break. That's something that's very doable because of where we are. So at Rochester, we have 5 different campuses. What I'm going to specifically talk about today is our undergraduate campus, which is our River campus, and our medical center. So our River campus is where our undergraduate students study for 4 years. And so inevitably you would be studying a major at our undergraduate campus and then continuing on to medical school, whether that is our medical school or another. So our medical center is another campus of ours. And actually, it's pretty much right across the street from Rochester, from the main campus. But it does take about a 15-minute walk. And we have a variety of different wonderful resources for our students. So, we are affiliated with 3 hospitals. We have Highland Hospital, Strong Memorial Hospital, which is, I think, was recently ranked as a #1 institution #1 hospital for by the U.S. News and World Report. We also have the Golisano Children's Hospital, which is #1 for neonatal care in the region. And then also, of course, our School of Dentistry and Medicine and Nursing, Wilmot Cancer Institute, the Flaum Eye Institute, which is actually the only eye center in the region. And then also just, again, so much opportunity for research. We have a myriad of different buildings dedicated to research space. So that is something really fantastic about our campus. I love to show visuals. So, this is just the medical campus here towards the bottom portion of this photo. You can see it's quite large. And actually, because of our medical center, that's what puts the University of Rochester as the 6th largest employer in the entire state of New York. So that does include Manhattan. So we have a lot of employees. We have a lot of folks working and doing research. And so it's just a really beautiful campus and many opportunities to take, of course, advantage of. Heading into some of our programs, because I know that whether you're here as a first-year seeking student, a transfer student, or a potential graduate student, these are programs, some of these are going to be available to you depending on your focus and where you are in your education career. Now, I will preface this with saying that REMS, this program here, is specifically designed for first-year students. So this is not something that you could take advantage of as a transfer or graduate, but we do have other programs, which I'll get to. So the REMS program is essentially our most popular, one of our most popular programs on campus. It is also the most selective. So I like to make sure that I do not deceive anyone. We take, around 30 or so students are admitted into REMS ultimately out of a pool of a couple thousand students. So it is definitely very competitive to get into, but it is an amazing program. Definitely worth that extra interview and time, because it is an 8-year BS or BA plus the MD program. So perks include, not having to take the MCAT if you continue on to Rochester Medical School after your 4 years are done. As long as, of course, you're doing well and you do well in all of your coursework. But, essentially this is great because you can study what it is that you want to at the undergraduate level. We don't have a prescribed course for you. So yes, you would be taking pre-medicine courses and sort of track courses for that. But ultimately, you're earning whatever degree you want, whether that's in biology or it's in political science. As long as you're taking those pre-med track courses, you can study whatever it is that you like. So it really gives you further flexibility and the ability to really take ownership of your education and what you study for. So also highlights on all of these programs are going to be just amazing mentoring, advising services. We have a lot of different social events for our folks that really allow you to hopefully rub elbows or shake hands, I guess, with folks that may be in your future career place. So this is just one of the programs that we have. The next being health and epidemiology. So our HEAL program is another combined degree program. So you're getting 2 degrees within a 5-year period. So, you're choosing again what that BA or BS degree would be on the River campus. And then you would continue on into the MS program for epidemiology and environmental health. So this offers, of course, very similar perks to that of REMS, which is, there's a GRE waiver for our students that do well and continue into the program. Also, a larger scholarship for the 5th year as well. And then, you get mentoring and advising services, graduate level coursework, all of these amazing things, while you're still studying undergrad. And it's really just a fantastic program. So if you're interested in epidemiology, highly recommend looking more into that. So those are our combined degree programs at Rochester. We also have the dual degree in nursing program. Now this is a true dual degree. So you are earning simultaneously either a BA or BS degree while also getting your BSN. So working on these together, it is a really popular program as well. So all of our health sciences, all of our pre-health programs are definitely very popular at the university, in part because of how awesome our medical center is. And, folks like Bosch and Loam are in Rochester. Also, Johnson & Johnson has a facility in Rochester. I think or Thermo Fisher Scientific also does. So lots of different areas to get into internships and things. Whether you're interested in pharmacology or practice in medicine, we have just a wide variety of options for you. So these are sort of the 3 big programs that stand out. Of course, at Rochester, we do have a wealth of other opportunities for students as well. So you don't have to continue on right into our medical school. Most, I feel like a large portion of our students do because it is fantastic, but we offer, healthcare career advising to all of our students. So, if you're not even in one of those 3 programs, but maybe you're studying still in pre-med track coursework while earning your, environmental science degree or whatever it is that you choose to study, we're still going to have that advising for you. And we are committed absolutely with making sure that you are getting connected to the folks that can help you. So we have mentors right out in the community that are working at hospitals, that are working in these big pharma companies that can see you through and answer your questions and maybe have you intern for them. And as well as dedicated career advisors on campus that are there for you every step of the way. And then quickly, I just want to go through, there is additional support for pre-health students as well. You can major in anything. Again, we have an open curriculum, so it's really kind of design your own path forward. And of course, we're building career competencies. We want you to have all of that hands-on experience you're going to need for your next steps, whatever those may be. And I apologize, I just realized how lengthy some of these slides are. I just have so much information to give you. I would highly recommend checking out our amazing Career Center online. You can look at outcomes for our graduating classes going back years and see where our students are going after they graduate. So whether that's on to medical school, where are they going, or perhaps you graduate and students are going into other offices or other health careers, you can see where our students are going. And I think that that's something really important about Rochester. And then here's just some, outcomes for our folks that are pursuing medical school. So you can see our acceptance rate for students is significantly higher than the national average. And so these are some of the schools that our students go to med school at afterwards. So lots of really great places, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that I may be over my time a little bit. So I'll go ahead and actually start out with some questions, but I hope that, you found this informative, and I look forward to connecting with you. And let's see, I think I have a couple questions here. I think I do have a little time for questions. So Rochester absolutely does have early decision. So we do not have early action. We have early decision and regular decision. So if you're applying via the Common App, early decision essentially is that binding agreement, of course, versus regular decision, which is not binding. And so, there's essentially 2 rounds for early decision. So you would want to have your applications in by, November 15th, especially if you're looking at the REMS program, which is the 8-year combined degree program. By December 1st, that's when you really want to have, whether you're applying early decision or regular decision, you want to have all of your sort of ducks in a row, your application submitted, all your materials in, because that's also the priority scholarship deadline. So I hope that helps. Does anyone have any further questions? Let me pop over to the
there's a few questions in the chat, and Brett, since you're the last one, feel free to take those verbally, and then we'll hang around for like 10 minutes to do more chat off camera, so that you still have a chance to connect with those students.
Great, thanks so much. Yeah, just cut me off whenever, Jenika. Let me know when my time is up here. But here we go. So yes, with REMS, there is a residency program. I do not have all of the details for that, but I do know that our students not only take up, residency in a number of our hospitals, whether it's Highland, Strong Memorial, or, Golisano, but also in the region as well. So yes, we do have that. Canadian students are absolutely welcome to apply for REMS. So if that's interesting to you, definitely do so. And I am not sure. Perhaps I did not have a handout on here for Rochester, but I will be more than happy to share my contact information as well right here in the chat, and I can get you any information that you are looking for as well. So our medical center, operates separately from the River campus. So I can always ask them for any info, and they'll give that to me. So please feel free to connect. And I'm really sorry about the noise. I live in downtown Rochester, so kind of comes with the territory. And then for Canadian students, are they required to take the SATs? No, actually, we are test optional, and that is inclusive of all of our pre-health programs. So at Rochester, we went test optional in 2019, just ahead of the pandemic, because we firmly believe that not everybody's a great test taker. And so you do not need to have to take the SAT.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the recording, just so that it's on it's on time, but Brett, you can definitely still answer questions on mic if you want, just if it's faster for the last few minutes so that you have time to follow up with those students. As you can see, these are the ways to contact me. So if you would like to reach out and learn more about Education USA and how I can help you out, please feel free to do that. Like I said, the room will stay open for about 10 more minutes, and I will go ahead and thank everybody for joining us today.